My name is John Bothwell. I am the manager of the Legislation Implementation and Coordination Unit at the Department of Environment. Again, the best thing that people can do to protect our remaining mangrove forests, protect whatever it is they want to protect, is to speak up about it. Thankfully, we live in a democracy, but that comes with the cost that people have to participate, people have to speak up. And that's a lot of work, actually. You've got to think about what it is you want. As I may have said before, you need to articulate what you want for your country. You then have to sit down and listen to the other person who is articulating the same desire, accept that you both want what is good for Cayman, but between the different people at the table, agree to what is the best way forward that we can get between us. If you've ever had that kind of discussion with one other person, you know that can be tiring. And it doesn't happen overnight. You talk about it, you think about each other's position, you then come back and you work on it some more. Multiply that up by 60,000 people having that discussion. It's not going to be easy. But the trick is for people not to get dissuaded and get tired and lose heart. Whatever side of the argument you're taking, it's important that you keep articulating why you believe this is so important. Because very often people will get bogged down in arguing about the small detail of what they want right then and there. And all sides will lose sight sometimes of why are we trying to do this? And what is it that these different sides are trying to achieve? And being willing sometimes to take a step back and say, how do we as a group, as a nation, as a district, achieve our agreed vision for this place that we all call home? And not to look at it as being winners and losers, because while it can feel that way sometimes, you lose the mangrove wetland, or you lose the development that was going to bulldoze that mangrove wetland instead. It is about what can we all achieve for the good of all of us, and it needs to have both of those things. Mangroves and mangrove wetlands are going to be hugely impacted by climate change, but could also play a critical part of our response, if you will, to climate change. So again, mangroves are that buffer between the land and the sea. We know climate change is happening. We know that one of the big impacts is going to be, let's call it seawater intrusion into what was previously dry land. Whether that is just straight up sea level rise, that is king tides being compounded by sea level rise. And so whereas before, maybe once a year, you look down at the dock and said, well, that the water's right up to the edge of the dock, the edge of the dry land. Now that tide is coming into the dry land. We've seen that in places around Grand Cayman, at least, where roads and housing developments have been built in what was previously wetlands, were built low. At the time they were built, it was okay, they never actually flooded out. But now in a king tide, the road does flood out. People are no longer looking at the water on the edge of the wetland just outside their yard. They're now looking at water in their yard and thinking, another inch is inside my house, which is kind of a terrifying thing to see. And then you have seawater intrusion by hurricane. We know that climate change is going to affect hurricanes. What we can't say specifically is whether that means more hurricanes, more big hurricanes, or more hurricanes including more big hurricanes. It's just a question of how bad is it going to be.